welcome back, everyone. Bloody hell, what a disaster that was in the car this afternoon. Two attempts to try and get the bloody live stream going, and it just kept crashing. I don't know what's going on with the internet today. I don't know if you've had any problems with WhatsApp. A number of people are reporting problems with the internet and with WhatsApp today. Let me know in the chat if you've experienced the same. How is your WhatsApp working? Is your internet okay? I wasn't actually going to bother, to be honest, but I don't like not finishing something that I started. So I thought I'd just pop back on from the comfort of my office here at home. Cheers, everyone. Good afternoon. Yep, Sky, we are back. Good afternoon, Angelina. Lovely to see you, darling. How are you? Salutations from the USA. Thank you so much. Afternoon, Julie. Paul, are you going down to Danny's to help him with the garden? In a word, Angelina, no. I'm not a very good gardener. I haven't got green fingers, and I've got no intentions of getting them green down at Danny's. He can get on with that one himself. There you go, Vanessa. Look, I couldn't get on anything this morning. Yeah, there's been some weird things happening. Yeah, some weird things happening. All good in London, says Steve. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. People have been trying to call me from the UK today on WhatsApp, and it's been bouncing around like Zebedee's spring. And if you're old enough to know Zebedee, you're definitely probably as old as me. Yeah, Angelina, not a chance on earth. I've seen Daddy this morning. We had a nice bit of breakfast. He drove all the way down from where he lives, which is about, I don't know, an hour and 3/4 to come and say hello and have a bit of breakfast, and he's gone. It's the USA taking up all the bandwidth with their drones over Iran. Afternoon, Paul and chat. Right, guys, where did we get to? So as usual, over to you. If you haven't had enough of me already for one day, yeah, you're taking retirement a bit too serious, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Some retirement, eh? Blue skies here, but cold, 4 Celsius. I think it's about 20 Celsius here, I think, today, something like that. Sorry, there or thereabouts. Yeah, definitely taking my retirement too seriously. So I've forgotten where we got to in our, in the aborted stream. You're busy this week, Thorpe. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very busy this week. There's a link in the video description. If anyone wants to hop on later at 9 o'clock over at the channel that I will be appearing on later on, I don't know what awaits me. An executioner's axe, a fair hearing, a fair trial, or a stitch up. I have no idea, but I'll be there at 9 o'clock to find out if you're interested in that one. Yeah, do you know what? I miss those frosty mornings. I miss waking up and seeing a bit of frost on the grass. Would be nice. Thank you very much, Bree. I will pass that on, and to the pets. One of the little buggers, one of the cats went missing all night. We was getting a bit worried about him, and he rolled up here this morning about 10:30. Looking very pleased with himself. So I don't know what he'd been up to all night. I could take a guess. I don't know why, because they've both been chopped off. He's not a lot of use to anyone, but I don't think it stops him from trying. Well, we had snow yesterday in parts of Yorkshire. Fine times. Hello, Thorpe. A question which I have no answer. If a right-wing party gets in, how can it pass laws and legislation if the House of Lords and the left and are royalists and globalists? Going to be tough. You need enough of them. You need one hell of a majority. Yeah, always upsetting someone, mate. Oh, blimey. On that note, by the way, if Vindicator is watching, let me know in the chat, because I'd like to invite you on to this stream right now where we can have a little bit of a grown-up conversation. It will be nice, I think, for me and you to talk online. We can iron things out. You can say what you want to say. I'll say what I want to say. Having said that, I think we did that once before, but it didn't work out. But if you're about, mate, let me know. You're more than welcome to hop on. I'll pop a link in there for you. Come on, say hello. We can talk like adults and sort this nonsense out. Mr. Mirror, can you see my chats? I can, yeah, Mr. Moore. The link is in the channel. It's called Nay Chance or No Chance. Sorry, the link is in the video description. Yeah, I hope it does. I hope it does. Because there's literally no need for the nonsense that's been going on. Steve, you've upset me by not coming down to the cottage with me again. Steve, how you doing, mate? I would love to get down to the cottage at some stage. I'm not sure about this. Bad Wolf says it can abolish the House of Lords. There is no peers left anyway. Needs a majority and a mandate. We definitely need a huge majority. There are so many law finities, and I can't say or pretend that I know what they are. But there are many finities and laws that I'm sure none of us would be aware of, let alone appreciative of. So I just don't know. Hi, John. How you doing? The Lords have less power now. I'm in North Yorkshire. I not seen snow. I seen down in Benidorm next month. Radio, nice. The wall of Westminster needs a clear out. Only a couple of decent ones in there. Whole, yeah, the whole of Westminster needs clearing out. Absolutely. Yep. So just looking in the chat here, Tony Blair changed all the rules. I think it was. He did change a lot here. So let's see if Mr. V wants to take up my offer, my hand. The offer is out there. I'm sure there'll be someone in the chat that can get a hold of him or let him know. We'll see what occurs. Bad Wolf, we are definitely better off if we're all friends. Rising tide raised all ships. YouTube is not a scarcity mindset environment. I mean, look, I think social media in general is a very, very toxic place. Simon watched the video today of Lindsay Hall telling Boris Johnson when he was PM if he needs to answer questions, but with Starmer, he says differently. Of course he does. That's not a surprise, is it? Of course he does. Hello, what have Hearts Please done? Tina, yeah, you go and pick those lovely grandchildren up. That's good to know, Jim. Thank you. Thank you, Harry. Metal Man Mercia, Paul Thorpe, please put the troll comments behind you. As everyone I talk to in Belfast, love you and Richard. It's done to stress, and to get you to be silent. Love and respect from Belfast. I appreciate that, mate. Yeah, I understand. I had a conversation in the car coming back home from a really good mate of mine who I trust and respect, and more than anything, look upon someone that, you know, I like to think I can trust. And, you know, he was saying the same sort of thing. The trouble is, I have a problem, and I've always had the same problem. It's when I see something that I feel needs answering or I can't stay quiet about, I you know, bite is the wrong word, but I want to respond. That's what makes me who I am. You know, if I see wrongdoing, I want to call it out, but it is what it is. Paul, if Reform get into power, do you think they have to know it? They have the know-how to fight the civil service run by the unions? I think they have the know-how. Whether they've got the courage and the will is another thing. And that's one of my issues. I think a lot of people's issues with Reform, I believe. So know-how, yes. Courage, I'm not so sure. And I'm not so sure they're going to have a big enough majority to do that. And that's another problem that we've been speaking about just recently. Liam Tuff's new Cappuccino episode was good. He's right in what he says. I haven't seen that one just yet. Oi, oi, how we doing? Patriots, John says, Patriots vote Reform UK. I'm not going to argue with you, mate. I'm an Ipswich fan. Disgraceful reaction to a lot of our fans about Nigel Farage coming to Portman Road. These people are off their rocker, aren't they? I mean, they are completely off their rocker. I'm not going to read this one out, but I will briefly address it. I mean, look, good luck to him, mate. I mean, if I'm helping feeding his children, then I'm pleased. You know, I'm pleased that I can help people with their channels and, you know, get an income. That's great. So look, I've got messages coming near left, right and centre. This is the trouble when you've got more than one phone. In where I think Reform might be a half step in the right direction. I just hope we don't jump back in the wrong direction afterwards. Look, I've got to agree with that. I think if we take ourselves back to before Labour were elected, even if we go back just that amount of time, I mean, we all know that mass immigration, mass illegal migration was a massive problem. We all knew that and we've known it for a long time, but we wasn't mentally being abused like we're being abused right now, right? I think we can probably agree on that. I think since Labour came to power, we all feel like that we're in an abusive relationship with our own government. If we could get back to a place where, say, for example, Reform were in power, it wouldn't be a bad thing, would it? I mean, it's not ideal, but it wouldn't be a bad thing. And at least you'd have a lot of people who have said a lot of the right things. And if they don't act upon those right things, if they don't carry out their word, they're going to be hauled across the coals big time. I mean, if Nigel Farage thinks he can say some of the things that he's been saying, particularly recently, and then not act upon them and not keep his word, I mean, my God, he's going to feel the wrath of the centre-right electorate, isn't he? And this is where parties like Restore and Advance and other parties, UKIP, any sort of centre-right movement can put a lot of pressure on Nigel, keep up the, you know, make sure we're up his backside all the time, in his ear all the time, to make sure that not only does his stance become firmer, but he gets to understand that if and when he becomes Prime Minister, he better bloody keep his word, right? Because nothing else is going to do. The population is not going to suffer another fall gladly, are they? Lisa says they all need to merge. Lisa, I agree. We've been through that 1,000 times, haven't we? Yeah, John says the same. Yeah. We really put our feet in it, allowing the Labour Party to get the majority that they got. Yes, we did indeed. Good afternoon, Daniel. Are you back now? My usual stitch up with Danny this afternoon. We had breakfast with 1, 2, 3, 4. There was 5 of us. And I said at the table, wasn't it nice of Danny to offer to pay for the breakfast today for all of us, to which his face looked like he'd seen a ghost. And then when the waitress come up, I said, you're in for a treat today, because this man in front of you right now is the biggest tipper in Benidorm. He's a tight get. Didn't even leave her a tip. Don't wash your feet with your socks on, I think he said. Fine times. I wouldn't drop everything to come on for a soap opera. I like Paul and Vin. Thank you, Harry. Yeah, I mean, Simon, yes, you know, I'm not going to disagree with you, my friend. You know, I can only reiterate what I said a minute ago. If we take ourselves out of this matrix world that we're living in right now and take ourselves back to, you know, just a couple of years ago, a reform government would have seemed a really good prospect, wouldn't it? Now, it seems an amazing prospect by comparison to what we've got. It all depends on how controlled these buggers are. Super Gooner. Hi, Paul from Australia. I'm just off the bed, bruv. I'm knackered. Get yourself some kip, cobber. But you're obviously a Brit, I would imagine. 100%. I think that's me new. I think that's got to be the new nickname, isn't it? That's got to be the new thing. Lord, I'm not going to read it out because it will be unpopular, but I'm going to put it up. That's your opinion. Paul, are you going to be able to make the 16th of May? Well, the answer to that, unfortunately, is no. And I probably wouldn't be welcome anyway, but there you go. Email Lindsay Hall and say you're disgusted that he's not forcing Starmer to answer questions. He is House leader, so not doing his job. Parliament full of lefties. So up to us to start calling Hall out. Spudso, listen, I agree with you, mate, but do you really think these wankers are going to listen? Because you know that's not going to happen. That's the problem. Parliament is full of lefties. They're doing what they like. Ross, that's your opinion, mate. Anyone on the right or appeals to you closer at the time? At the moment, I'm going UKIP. Fair enough, Ross. I mean, it would be a wasted vote, wouldn't it? But, you know, you are perfectly entitled to vote for whoever you wanted to vote for. When the time comes, Ross, regardless of who I support or who I want to support or who I believe in, I will be tactically voting for the party that will get rid of Labour and try and keep out as many potential Green members as possible. So we're going to be forced into voting tactically, I think. Can UK passport vote in Spain? Do you mean can I vote here in Spain at a Spanish election? That I'm not sure, and even if I could, I wouldn't, because it's none of my business. So I wouldn't be voting here in Spain. If you're asking me if I can still vote back at home, the answer to that is yes, I can. Yeah, well, if that's his version of comedy, mate, I'd hate to see his version of something else, but there you go. Low and Reform doing the deal. Ooh. Don't see that happening, do you? I don't really see Rupert Lowe and Nigel Farage ever been able to do business again, not after the Zia Youssef incident, unless, of course, Zia Youssef. I mean, you can never say never in politics, right? I think unless Zia Youssef was to leave, because he's the one that we're led to believe started all the nonsense with Rupert Lowe. Unless Zia Youssef was outed, I don't see a way back between Rupert and Nigel Farage. None at all. Are you trying to get me into trouble, Rob? Is Rupert Lowe the real deal? Absolutely. Look, of course he's the real deal. He's an MP. He's got his own political party. He walks the walk, he talks the talk. There are a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, and I don't mean that in a critical fashion. We've got to work out together somehow. Everyone that is supporting Restore has got to work out how they're going to win. What do we need? 12, maybe 15 million votes to get a big majority in the House. It's going to be a big turnout at the next election, a big turnout, because the left are going to rally. Trust me when I tell you. Please make a note of this. Get a pen and paper and write this down and put my name underneath it. It's a quote. The left are going to rally like you've never seen them rally before at the next general election. That means that any party on the right, whether it be Restore, Reform, Advance, UKIP, you name it, whoever it is, even we'll even say the Tories, right? But that's stretching it, right, to call them on the right. I mean, whoever, they're going to need a huge vote. They're going to need a massive number of votes. Probably a minimum of 12 million, potentially as many as upwards of 15 million votes. That's a big, big ask for any one party. You see, the left don't need that number of votes. All they need is enough to win, to get a majority. Even if the majority is fairly small, then they can make it up with the numbers from the independents, the Islamists, the communists, the SNP, Plaid Cymru, all the others in the House that just hate everything British, basically. They can all get together in the little evil gaggle in the corner and pretty much do what they like. So we do indeed have a monumental task ahead of us. Honest question, can the Brits in other countries vote here? Harry, I'm a bit confused as to what you mean, mate, whether Brits living abroad can still vote back at home or whether Brits abroad can vote in other countries. It will depend on their individual circumstance and indeed their individual circumstances and the laws of the country that they're in. Yes, I think so. Do you know what, guys? Here's a weird one, right? Let me read this out. Diane Wardle says, gutted that Ben and Rupert didn't get together. It could have all been solved with Advance UK, Paul. I was reading, here's something that might surprise the Restore supporters out there, who at the moment, I've seen many of them taking some kind of weird delight that they believe Advance is finished and it's collapsed, and none of that is true, by the way. But even if it was, I wonder what their motives behind being so delighted about that are. Why would you be so delighted that a fellow patriotic party is not doing as well as it would hope? Now, here's the really the bombshell for all you Restore supporters out there. I went through Restore's immigration policy in bed last night, and I went through Advance UK's immigration policy in bed last night. Yeah, I'm an exciting geezer, and that's what I do in bed these days. And Advance UK's immigration policy is without a doubt more radical and stronger than Reform's. If you don't believe me, go and compare the two. I think Restore has made quite a number of alterations to theirs since when I first looked at it. So yeah, I mean, that's not a criticism. That's not an observation even. It's a fact. Go and have a look for yourselves. I would say that Advance UK's immigration policy is actually stronger and more radical than Restore's. That might surprise some of you. But it is. And on that note, I actually asked Ben Habib if Ben was still willing to appear on the channel, because obviously, I've left Advance now for reasons that he understands and I hope he respects, and, we remain friends. But I wasn't sure if he'd actually want to, come and speak on the channel. And he said yes. And he's going to answer a lot of questions. He's going to answer the difficult questions, which I really appreciate, and I'm sure you guys will. Ray, all right, Paul, try and let this crap go by you. That's what I'm trying to. Still entitled to answer false accusations, though, absolutely, and I will. What are you doing for your birthday? Well, I've got a load of my mates coming over. A lot of my old school mates are coming over, and we're going to have a Jolly Boys outing. I can't tell you where, and I can't tell you when, because it probably wouldn't be a good idea to do so. But nonetheless, I can tell you it ain't in Brighton, but it's somewhere else beginning with B. Afternoon, Jenny. The thing is, yeah, cheers, Danny, and you, mate. Yeah, you look good. Thank you, Danny. Really appreciate you making the effort and coming up. The thing is, this Advance, Restore, Reform question, this conundrum, which is three political parties, all supposedly on the right side of politics, all looking to do the right thing, allegedly, when it comes to reform, at least. We know Advance and Restore want to do the right thing, but Reform, we'll see. The jury's out, right? But the interesting thing, there's such a good conversation to be had there. Such a good and interesting debate, such a good and interesting topic to be spoken about. But sadly, at the moment, if you asked any questions about Restore, you're immediately shouted down as some kind of hater or some kind of, enemy or critic. And, just because you ask questions about something doesn't make you a hater or someone that wants to destroy that particular party. And I use one of my stupid and rather annoying for some of you, one of my football analogies. When you go and watch your team on a Saturday afternoon, listen to how many people in the crowd criticising the formation they're playing, the tactics that are being played, the team that's being picked. They'll moan about the manager, the board, even the tea at the coffee and tea and coffee stand. But they love the club and they want to win, right? They're there and they moan because they care so much. And I don't think it's any different with political parties in many respects. You tend to moan about the things that you love more than the things that you don't care about. Cheers, Dazza. Mr. Cappuccino, Connor Tomlinson podcast yesterday evening. His chat said the UTK event is not going ahead as it will be closed down, and they called it Operation Strike Back. Restore Britain are wary of attending. Look, I've heard of this. I know, I think I know who's behind it. In fact, I'm pretty sure I know who's behind it. The people can make their own decision, come to their own decision as to what is trying to be achieved here. This Operation Strike Back that people talking about, it's an attempt to bring down Tommy and, frankly, anyone that's ever spoken to him, and that includes me, right? That's what this is all about. It's all Operation Strike Back. You'd have to ask them what this is all about. You'd have to ask them what their end game is. I mean, what is the end game? That's my question. I know about some of their grievances, and some of them I can understand. Some of their grievances deserve to be aired, and some of their grievances deserve to be discussed and even explained. But the bottom line is, what is the end game? And I'm told by people at the very top of this Operation Strike Back, they're not shy with it. They say themselves that their mission is to destroy Tommy, anyone that is even remotely associated with him or involved with him, anyone that's associated with the United Kingdom movement. Yeah, that's it. So, it's not something that I'm going to give too much publicity to because, I just don't understand what the end game is and why. I mean, if the United Kingdom movement was destroyed, whether it was good or bad, let's just play devil's advocate. Even if the United Kingdom movement wasn't good, what will be achieved by destroying or trying to destroy that movement? What will be achieved by removing that million people who went on the last event to show their support and love for our country? What will be achieved by removing those people from the street and giving other groups on the left, the communists, the Islamists, the impression that we are not capable of standing side by side and getting out onto the streets, not only to match their numbers, but to far outweigh them? If someone can give me a sensible explanation as to what that would achieve, what good it would achieve, I'm happy to listen, but I just don't get it. I really don't get it. And for proof of that, you don't have to look any further than the fact that this group are announcing and have announced that I personally am a legitimate target. What is that? What are the connotations of someone being a legitimate target? That's a term that the IRA used back in the 1970s, isn't it? A legitimate target. That's a phrase that Hamas would use, for an example, legitimate target. The connotations of it, whilst not necessarily being hate speech or illegal in itself, the connotations are quite inciting, aren't they? A legitimate target, right? So if I'm a legitimate target, if anything happens, we know who to blame. Labour is not a party, it's a regime. I get that totally. And one of the videos I'm really, really proud of that I made way back now, a couple of years. I was down at New Haven Harbour, and I made a video warning everyone what we was going to get. if they voted Labour. I was trying to warn potential Labour voters as to what they were going to be doing to our country. I'd like to say I got that video spot on. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is it wasn't bad enough. Even I didn't see the scrapping of jury trials. Even I didn't see the absolute support for Islamification by this government. Even I didn't see our pensioners being abused and used and chucked to one side, basically, by this government, in preference, giving preference to men of fighting age coming to our shores that have no right to be here. Even I didn't see it going quite that far. But nonetheless, it's still one of my proudest videos because it was a very, very stark warning that's turned out to be correct, but not quite correct enough. Yeah, this is another one, Dazza. You know, Paul, I see a lot of people saying they are English and not British, which is fine. But many of us are very proud to be British. Vital, we stand by our people in Northern Ireland as well. Dazza, this is the thing, my friend, you know, I'm a loyalist, I'm a unionist, right? I believe in the union. I believe in Scotland. I believe in Northern Ireland. I believe in the Welsh, and I believe in the English. I'm a proud Englishman. And if I'm totally honest with you, Dazza, I am an Englishman first. I'm very, very proud of being English and the St. George's flag and everything that it means. But to me, Dazza, you boys up there, you are our brothers. And I mean it, you are our frigging brothers, right? And what we've been through together over the years, the trenches that our lads have stood in side by side together and died fighting side by side together, that's not a friendship, Dazza, is it? That's a brotherhood. That's more than a friendship. That's more than just a union. That's bonded in blood. And the English, the Northern Irish, the Welsh and the Scots are bonded by blood. So I am extremely proud to be English, but I'm also extremely proud to be British, part of our wonderful United Kingdom. And this is the problem, Dazza. That makes me, to some people, some kind of weird traitor or whatever. They want me to be English and only English. I'm just not having that. That's no better than the Scottish people that want to be Scottish and F the rest of the UK, and that's the work of the SNP, no? And not everyone in the SNP is like that, but you get my drift. Cheers, Dazza. Great point. There you go. There's a problem. Here is a problem. Robert Seeger. If Lowe openly says he's a Zionist, believing Jews can have their own country, then he has my votes. Oh, no, sorry, Robert. I thought it was saying the other way around. I got that wrong. If Lowe openly says he's a Zionist, believing Jews can have their own home, then he has my vote. Yeah, I get you now. Sorry, I thought he was going to say the other way round, Robert. And of course the Jewish people deserve their own home. Everyone deserves their own home, including us. Yeah, Scotty, exactly. Tactical voting may be the only way forward. Now, we can tactically vote. We can have the brains to work it out for ourselves and vote tactically. What we can't guarantee is the brains that the people what we can't guarantee is that the people we tactically vote for have the brains to work it out amongst themselves after we voted for them. That's the size of the problem that we've got. Even if we was to go, let's put two constituencies right next door to each other, just as a silly example, right? Constituency A, Reform, they're the best party to vote for. They're the ones that are going to stand the best chance of winning. So everyone, Reform, UKIP, Restore, Advance, they all get behind Reform, vote for reform, elect reform in that constituency. Next door, we've got a constituency that is very heavy on restore. So everyone from UKIP, from Advance, from Reform, all gets behind the restore candidate. We get a restore MP. The public would have done their job. They would have successfully voted tactically to elect the two most credible, the two most suitable, the two best options MPs. But then the buggers won't talk. They won't get on. So we're knackered either way. And this is why, and people wonder why we're talking about trying to unite. Because if we can elect a restore member in one constituency, a reform member in another constituency, and the buggers won't even agree on much, where do we go from there? Where do we go? Like I said, for the millionth time, we've got a big job on our hands. Absolutely. Both Labour and the Greens are anti-British. Bit slower than usual putting up some of the comments today, guys. Learned a bit of a lesson last night, I'm afraid. You know, I tend to throw up messages without really reading them too much beforehand. When you're on your own, it's quite a difficult job to read and run a show at the same time. But I'm trying to make sure I don't put up anything that shouldn't go up after last night. As I say, I have put out an invitation this afternoon for the Vindicator to pop on. We can have a chat man to man in front of the world. Whether he decides to or not, that's of course his choice. Paz on YouTube is saying it, don't know where he's getting it. What's Paz saying, Liberty? I haven't seen Paz today. Val, unfortunately, Port Advance has stagnated, so I feel the need to vote restore. Val, I would actually say, I don't think a lot of people, myself included, to be fair, because obviously since I resigned from the college, you know, I don't get the updates that I was getting. But as far as I'm aware, they're actually doing really well. They're certainly doing well in Northern Ireland. Look, you know, Val, at the moment, we're not voting for anyone, are we, hon? You know, we've got to wait. We've got to wait. And then when the election, I mean, let's pretend there was an election. Where are we? We're at the end of March, right? Let's pretend there was an election in May. Let's for a moment pretend that those council elections, those local elections coming up in May was actually a general election. Well, then now will be the time to really start to talk, wouldn't it? Blimey. It's bad. Imagining what it would be like then. Imagine what it's going to be like when it's really time to decide who we're going to be voting for. Can you imagine the kickoff? Wow. Mr. Cappuccino, Zia Yusuf is a fab speaker and sharp. However, I don't trust him. No, I don't. Nope, I'm afraid I don't trust him either. Is Rupert sticking it to Farage because they fell out? Seems very counterproductive. No, I don't think so. I think that you know, Rupert is the man. I think Rupert is someone else that joined Reform in the belief that it was going to be the party that we need. And just like many other people, when he discovered that it wasn't, and it's a party full of backstabbers and failed Tories and failed lefties, then he made his move. I think a lot of us that were supporting Reform at one stage have now moved over to a different stance. I mean, like I said, if you go back and take yourselves out of the current matrix that we're in, go back to, you know, where are we? 2026. If you go back to sort of 2023, 2024, early 2024, Reform was seen as being quite a hard right party. Now they're seen as being a middle of the road party. And one of the reasons is because our circumstances have changed so much and things have gone downhill so badly. The nation has woken up to the fact that actually we need something stronger. You know, our cup of tea, our cup of coffee needs to be a bit stronger than Nigel Farage. And I think that's what's happened. But I don't think it's a revenge thing on Nigel Farage. Yeah, Maiden, thank you. Yeah, the crowd is quite small today, only 780 people watching. So please don't forget to give me an upvote, guys. If you didn't see last night's live stream, it was an absolute corker. But I've actually taken it down because of an incident that took place during the stream. Don't get excited. It was nothing, you know, you didn't miss anything. All it was a vile and untrue allegation made about someone. And I need to remove that properly. I tried to remove it earlier on via the YouTube editor and it made a right pig's ear of it. So I've got to actually delete the video or download the video, edit it, and then I'll re-upload it. But it was a really, really good stream last night. We had some great callers on last night. Yeah, look, Bad Wolf, look, I, with all due respect, my friend, I've seen people like this come and go over the years. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I know exactly what's going on there, but like I said, I'm trying to leave that behind. Free Palestine. Yeah, absolutely. Free them from Hamas, free them from the grip of the Islamist terrorist scum that murder their own people. So yes, Jabba, free Palestine from the Islamists, the same as we want to see Iran freed from the Islamists. Do you agree with that, Jab? Let me know in the comment. Let me know, reply to that. Free Palestine from Hamas. Do you agree with that or do you disagree with it? It's a cheap, free Palestine is a throwaway cheap comment, right? Which could mean anything. So tell us what it means, my friend. Tell us what you really mean by free Palestine. So let's see you now publicly denounce the terrorist scum that are killing their own people in their own country and beating them up when the food parcels arrive, etc. Let's see you denounce Hamas, and then we might be able to talk about freeing Palestine. Is that a deal? I think that's fair. I don't know how far behind I am from on the chat, probably a long way as usual. Robbie says, I think you will go for restore eventually, Paul. I'd say it's the only way. I'm going to give you my honest opinion on that, Robbie, and I'm going to probably, God, the last thing I need to do is upset anyone, but I'm going to be honest with you. I support Restore and I support Rupert, but they are in danger of being tarred with a very nasty brush at the moment. And if they don't deal with that, there won't be a party worth voting for. I know it sounds dull and I know it sounds boring, but that is the truth. You've seen it already. The mainstream media are already sticking to this. Think about what was that Labour MP yesterday called Reform, not Restore. She called Reform a bunch of far right. She used the word Nazi. I can't think what word she used, but basically she spoke about Reform as if they were the fourth right. How do you think that same politician's going to speak about Restore if they get wind of some of the stuff that's been going around? Not from Restore, from Restore supporters. And as I said the other night, my message to them is button your lip and use your head. Yep, free Iran from Islam. Yeah. The gentleman that wrote Free Palestine, I don't see that he's come back to me at the moment. Palestine, yeah, exactly. He's our country. But let's give him a chance to come back in the comments. You know, he's made a comment. Does he want to free Palestine? Does he want to free Palestine from Hamas? Would he like a democratic government? More importantly, would they like an election? I think the last time those buggers give those people an election was about, what, 2016? 10 years ago? Ish, there or thereabouts. Bad Wolf, do you know what, mate? I wish I could say you were right. He is running a positive campaign. The positivity will shine over the negativity from the detractors. We are sick of it, and we are indeed sick of it. The only part of that message that I would not entirely concur with is that it will shine over the negativity from the detractors. The detractors, unfortunately, my friend, are the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Sky News, every single goddamn daily newspaper there is in the country. And you have to admit, that's a pretty strong voice. Yep, it's a pretty strong voice. Who gives two shits what Labour have to say? What is the matter with you? I don't know if that's maybe not be aimed at me, maybe aimed at someone else in the comments. Yeah, they'll still call us that anyway. Yeah, exactly. The trouble is, with some of the stuff that's been going around, Julie, they're going to find it a lot harder to come up with the so-called evidence of that. You know, if you remember that short video, I don't know if you saw it, the short video that I displayed that contained a lot of the ex-posts about Ben. They'll use that. They'll use that. I used it, and the reason I used it was to warn people of what kills a political party. And you have to wonder if people posting that stuff are actually the enemy coming in to deliberately trying to sabotage. And that wouldn't surprise me either, Julie. That really wouldn't surprise me. Restore supporters make the party, so it is an issue. No supporters, no party. I mean, look, at the end of the day, they've done really well. What have they got now? They've got, I think, approaching 130,000 members. Where are we? I haven't got a calculator. I should be able to work it out in my head, but let's try this. Was it 20 quid a pop? 130,000 times 20 is 2.6 million. So Rupert's got £2.6 million in the bank. What's he getting? I don't know, 1% on that a day. Very nice, thank you. So look, they're a party that is well funded now. And I saw this week that there's big billboards going up across the country. Great, because they're not cheap. So the money that's going into the party is clearly being used, hopefully all in the right way. Certainly those billboards, etc., I think are a great way to start. But they'll need funding, and they'll need a lot more funding as well. 2.6 million is nowhere near enough to run a general election campaign. Yes, I agree with that. Civilian deaths are wrong on both sides. The hypocrisy is exhausting. It is exhausting. The only part of that I personally would pull you up on, not pull you up, but question, is that when one side hides their weapons amongst their own civilians, well, who do you blame? So sick of hearing about irrelevant foreign conflicts. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, Nicholas, we've always, you know, we've always had the news on about foreign conflicts, haven't we? You know, when you go back to the war in Afghanistan with the Russians many, many, many years ago, the uprising in Poland with, was it Lech Walesa, etc. You know, we had these issues and these problems, these social problems, social uprisings. We had it all on our TV screens, but we didn't have it on our streets. And I think that's the difference now. We've seen that progress from being a story on our TV screens that we can maybe kind of relate to on a human base, a personal human being basis. But when those conflicts and those issues start to spill out onto our streets, it becomes very tiring. Why are you talking about other countries? Well, Tilly, we talk about all stuff. You know, we talk about a bit of football now and again. We talk about the weather, Spain, living in the UK. We talk about all things, Tilly. So that's what it's all about. Paul, why do you keep putting people on timeout? Tom, I have put one person on timeout today, one. And that was for a very rude comment. So, Tom, if people are being timed out by any of the mods, then maybe ask the people what they're writing. Why are they writing what they're writing? I've told my mods time and again, look, they have my permission to do whatever they want to do, but they know the lines. Here's a great message from someone using a fake username. I need to stop virtue signaling and grow a spine. Thank you, Stuzo666. I'll take that on notice. I must learn to stop virtue signaling and grow a spine from a man who's not even brave enough to give you his real name. Stuzo, mate, you asked for it. I'm sorry. But there it is. Yes, mate, I am. Yes, 9 o'clock UK time, 10 o'clock for me. Money for nothing. Must be worrying for you, Paul, seeing people still being arrested or taken away for questioning by the police at airports in the UK. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like I've said 100 times before, I don't consider they've got anything on me. I haven't done anything wrong. In fact, I've been a voice of calm in many respects. But who knows with them? You know, like I said before, I'm not a gambling man. I don't bet on the horses. I don't bet on the dogs. I don't even use fruit machines. So I'm not going to gamble on what this rotten, stinking, corrupt government are going to make up about me when I eventually go home. Yeah, there you go. I saw Tommy from 100 yards away. Am I a target of Operation Strike Back? Yeah, exactly. Pauline says, I don't care what they call me. You know, I agree, Pauline. I don't care what they call you or call me particularly. But some of it can be a bit damaging. What happened before, Paul? 1 minute you were there live and then you disappeared. Yeah, there's been some weird issues going on with the phone signal today, here in Spain at least. I've seen it reported back at home as well. But my phone just froze on 2 occasions. And I thought, well, I'm going to give up with this. People were saying that all the audio was behind. Working Class Patriot says, you didn't critique Paul, you slandered him, Jupiter. I slandered him, Jupiter. I'm not quite sure what you mean, mate. I'll be happy to read that out again. Pop it in at the bottom of the chat. You didn't, who didn't I critique? Are you talking about Jupiter? Make it a little bit more understandable for me, please, mate, and I will read it out. Would that please you, Leighton It Moon? Does that give you any pleasure if that was true? Just wondering. I'm not saying it would. You know, you might just be stating what you think to be factual. You might be right. I think you're wrong, but, you know, we'll see. Let's have a little look, see if Working Class Patriot comes back. I would like to answer that one. Tom, your thoughts on Richard Inman holding up a refugees welcome banner? From what Richard said, I only caught when did he say? Didn't he say it was something to do with the Ukrainian refugees? I mean, look, you won't get anyone that's more anti illegal migrant than Richard. I think sometimes people in Richard's position, bearing in mind that the optics and the fight seems to have changed, doesn't it, recently? I take you back again to that time before we were in this mad matrix. With Richard being so closely associated to Tommy and being called a far-right extremist, being named in all the Hope Not Hate literature as one of Tommy's right-hand men who helps organise all the demonstrations, the optics of holding up a poster like that for the hard left sometimes was, makes it difficult for them to criticise him. So let's analyse what the banner actually said. Refugees are welcome. Well, depends what refugees he was talking about, doesn't it? It didn't say illegal migrants are welcome here. Now, it's not a banner that I would particularly have want to have held up at any stage, quite honestly. But we all make mistakes. And from my understanding, Richard was actually talking about the Ukrainian refugees because it was very easy to pick a time, isn't it? So if he was to hold that up, how can I explain it? If he held that up the day after it was revealed that 10,000 women and children from Ukraine needed refugee status, that banner would appeal a lot more to a lot more people and seem very socially acceptable. If he held up that banner the day after Axel Rudabakano did what he did, well, the optics are a whole lot different, aren't they? So anyone can take a picture and use it at a time that suits them and their narrative. And I think, to be fair, Tom, that's probably more of a question for Richard than me. That's my take on it. Because, look, even now, I could hold, I don't think I would, but I could hold up a banner that said refugees are welcome. But then, which refugees are we talking about? Would I welcome into the UK 50 children from Nigeria whose parents have been slaughtered by Islamists, Christian mums and dads? Would I take in those 55-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds? Me as a human being? Yes, I would. That's a proper refugee. Their parents have been mutilated and murdered, hacked to death by monsters. They've got nothing, no hope, no future, nowhere to live, nothing to eat. Would I take those little babies in and give them a life? I would. But that's me. So that could be, you could then twist that and say, well, Paul said refugees are welcome. It's all about context, isn't it, my friend? All about context. Cheers, Tom. Hope I answered that for you as fairly as I can. I'm trying to see if Mr. Patriot came back to me so that I can answer his question properly. Stuzo, you have to accept criticism. Mate, you won't find anyone in the world that accepts criticism better than me. What I find hard to accept are lies and troublemaking. He says, I do, but unfortunately, the majority on here cause the problems with mass immigration. You cannot see it. I don't get you all. Mate, I don't get you. I think we all see that. We all see that problem, don't we? Come on, mate. How can you say that we don't see that mass immigration is a problem? Do you really, really believe that me and my viewers on here do not see that mass immigration is the problem? Now, this is a sort of comment that I'm tempted to highlight, and I will, but I'm then going to put this user, no, I won't put him in timeout. But this is the level of intelligence of some of the people in Operation Takedown, right? This is Operation Takedown. Is hope, not hate, DivNet. Right. Thanks for that. Yeah, Robbie, I agree. We didn't want this shite. We want our country back. 100% agree. Stand my ground tonight. Jackie, do you know what, hun? It's going to be very simple for me. I just be myself. I've got nothing to fear or to worry about. It's not even about standing my ground. It's just about being honest. You know, it's about being honest, standing true to what I believe. For an example, like I just said about the 5 Nigerian children that, you know, may have lost their parents. Would I welcome those 5 children into the country? Yes, because that is what decent human beings, Christian people, that is what they do. They take people in like that, and we give them hope for the future. And if people don't like that, if people don't like this because of those children's skin colour, well, then that is their problem, not mine. Do I believe that we should be replaced by people of other colour? Absolutely not. But that's a different question entirely, is it not? Right, okay, thank you, Bungle Bonts. The last thing we need is someone else's ag in the chat. Yeah, Jenny, the banner was for Ukraine. Exactly, yeah. It was Ukrainian refugees. Exactly. And as I've just explained, you know, people, troublemakers will take that banner and show it at the right time, a time that suits them. And that is the sort of thing that is going on right now. That is what Operation Takedown is all about. And I've said this the other day, and I'll say it again now, very loud and very clear. Blimey, I almost said the AY show is here, right? But I'll say this very loud and very clear, and I'll make it absolutely crystal clear to anyone that might be interested or involved. Whatever anyone has to say about me, whether it be in writing or whether it be on one of their YouTube channels, if it is an allegation of criminality, of wrongdoing, of theft, or of any nefarious activities whatsoever in my life, whether that be business, personal, anything, they better be able to prove it. Not to me, not to their audience, but to my solicitor, because I sure as hell would think nothing of suing someone that accused me of being a crook or a criminal or involved in stealing money or funds, because that would be beyond the line. That would cross the line. So if that does happen, I don't want them coming back and saying, oh, guess what? Fulpy's only gone and sued me, right? They've been told, if you lie about me to that degree, I will sue your fucking ass. And believe me when I tell you. So you go ahead and do what you want to do. Say what you want to say, but you best be able to prove it. And that's why I fear nothing, guys. That is why I fear nothing, because they have nothing on me. Misty says, I can't watch when Richard's on. Oh, that's a shame. Should we give him another airing? Yeah, go on, why not? So you can't keep your views. Is that what you're saying? You change your views 24/7? Yeah, of course I do. I nearly fell asleep reading that, actually. I change my views 24/7. My views have always been the same. I've changed party allegiance. I was supporting reform at the last general election, I think, like most of us. And let's be honest, right now, if there was an election tomorrow, You can give it all the gob you all like, but you're still going to be voting for reform because there ain't no one else to vote for tomorrow, is there? So I switched from reform to advance. That's changing my views every 24/7, is it? That's your last one, mate, I'm afraid. So don't bother with any more. You've had your moment of fame. Tom says, not buying it, that it was for Ukrainians, laughing emojis. Well, don't buy it, Tom. I don't suppose Richard cares whether you buy it or not. If you've watched Richard, if you knew what Richard has done over the years, you see, Tom, I'm gonna come back to you on that actually, because I'm gonna stand up for Richard here, right? When someone says something like that, Richard put his safety and his liberty and plenty of money on the line whilst doing all 5-6 episodes of The Rape of Britain, however many episodes there were. Sometimes sitting up for 24 hours out, doing surveillance and God knows what else. He's saved lives. Literally, I mean, saved lives. At one of the United Kingdom events, he stopped people from getting into trouble. He's liaised with the police on dozens and dozens and dozens of occasions. Right? And he's put his life and his heart and his soul into what he believes to be right. So I'm sorry, Tom, if I'm not buying your message. I don't know what you've done for the movement. Feel free to let me know. Richard's problem is that sometimes his passion runs away with him. And I understand that. I get it. If someone's passionate, you have to understand it. Again, going back to me bloody football examples, you go to a football match, you've got one guy sitting there who's standing up all game, screaming, shouting, nearly bringing himself on a heart attack, right? That guy is so passionate. Just because the person sitting next to him isn't as loud and isn't as demonstrative, right? Isn't as as verbal, doesn't mean to say that he's any less passionate. People just display their passion in different ways. Unfortunately, for Rich, God bless him, sometimes he gets a little bit carried away. And, it is what it is. Robbie D, do you know what, mate? I'm not even going to read that out. In fact, I'm going to put you in timeout for that because it's boring, mate. You're boring. There we go. So TikTok Chili, you can now go. Not only are you going to be put in timeout, you're going to be banned, mate, because you're obviously just a first-class prat. There you go. So there you go, mate. You had your chance. I paid you the respect of not only reading your comments, but giving you the time of day and reading them out. And your response was that Axel Rudabakana message. You vile piece of shit. Fancy saying something like that, mate, honestly. Sky of John. Oh, yes, me as a long-term Paul Thought personally invited the migrants here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like we're going to invite them here, right. The one and only Julie, did you hear that Starmer done to reform stopping donation? He's so transparent. Tell you what, talking about transparent, I reckon you see that in the paper today. It looks like he's wearing a syrup, doesn't it? A wig. Looks like he's wearing a wig, Starmer. Can you imagine? We'll give Tom a little bit more PR. The trouble with DivNats is that you're all so gullible. Yeah, we're so gullible, Tom. We're so gullible, if that's what you want to call me. If you want to call me a DivNat, you're perfectly entitled to do. It's not, that bad. I don't take offence to it. But if you want to call me a DivNat and that we're gullible, I think you need to have a look in the mirror, mate. If you think DivNats are gullible, let's have a look at where the real extremist vote has gone in the past. And I don't want to go over this old ground again, but we've been there before. We've been there, I would say time and time again, Tom, but we haven't been there time and time again. We've been there in 1977, and we was there again, I think, around 2009, 2010. So the people that are potentially carrying your views, and I don't entirely know what your views are, Tom, and I'm not going to accuse you of what views you have because I don't know, but from your use of the word divnats and that we're all gullible, I can take a guess, right? The total number of seats that parties that you would have supported in the past have totaled a grand total of 0. Now I ask you, Tom, who's gullible? There's another word, Tom, that I speak about a lot: realism. Even sometimes, even if you believe in something so passionately, you have to understand when you're beaten or you just can't win. And the views that you display, my friend, will never, ever win in the UK. Ever. Forget it. It's not going to happen. And that's not me trying to be clever or nasty. It's just a fact. And if you think I'm wrong, tell me how you would change that. Tell me how. I'd love to know, actually. Maybe I'll get the chance later on when I go on the stream later this evening. Tell me how you think that I'm wrong, or tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love to hear the answer. Val, I agree with you, Paul. I wonder if when we are in critical danger here with either civil war or an Islamic takeover, would other countries help us? I think America would. I'll tell you what, Val, I'm not so sure at the moment. Blimey. Yeah, I'm not so sure at the moment. I mean, you know, Trump's Trump. I mean, personally, I'm a big fan. You know, some of the things he said this week about winning the war, I think a bit premature to say the least, right? But he's right about one thing. You know, America or NATO has relied on America a hell of a lot over the years, a hell of a lot. And now the time has come for America to get a bit of help from NATO. What do they get? They get the cold shoulder. So I don't see America and Donald Trump's administration coming to running to help Europe anytime soon. I don't know, maybe we could get Macron to help us. Maybe we could get, I don't know, who's going to help us? Who's going to look after the British? Blimey. Yeah, I'm reading as much of the comments as I can, just trying to highlight some of the more I like this little back and forth. You cause the mass immigration because your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents were too soft. Don't you get it? No, I don't, to be honest. I mean, look, I get that previous generations have been too soft. I will accept that. Previous generations have been too soft. But I think in all fairness as well, previous generations never really saw what's coming right now. I mean, I kind of saw what was coming back in the 1970s when I was a teenager. I kind of saw what was coming, right? But not to this level, and not from the problems, not from the people that we have the problems with now. Back in the 70s, the Islamic community were never a problem. There was not enough of them, and B, they kept themselves to themselves. Very much so. So when you say you caused the mass immigration, I think you probably should have worded that we, not you, my friend. Thank you for that. Cheers, Harry. Thank you. No word from the Vindicator, which is a shame. I'd love to have had that one out this afternoon. That would have been nice. Not in a nasty way, but we could have. The trouble is, I did actually go to his channel this morning to just send him a message of support after that message last night. But he's banned me. I can't even write a message on his channel. So what can I do? He may be banned from mine. I don't know. I certainly haven't banned him. If one of the mods has, again, it will only be for something that he said. I've only ever been polite when I've left a message from him in the past a couple of 3 times, but I'm banned, so it is what it is. What you said about the 5 Nigerians is what we did for Axel Wudibakana and his family. It's not quite, is it, my friend? It's not. Axel Wudibakana had a father and a mother. So in my opinion, that should have disqualified him and his parents from coming here in the first place. You cannot, you can work with a clean slate, right? But you can't work with damaged goods. And Axel Wudibakana's father, I believe, allegedly has a history. So I don't believe that bringing in a family where the father already has history and the son is clearly a Fruit Loop and being brought up by someone with a history, that's not the same as bringing in 5 Nigerian 2 or 3 or 4 or even 5-year-olds that are essentially a clean slate. Even if you don't want to keep them here, for God's sake, we have to be human being enough to give them something to eat, a bit of love, and, you know, somewhere to be raised in safety, at least whilst they're children. I mean, would you disagree with that? I mean, come on. This is where I'm going to disagree, you see, with the ethno-nationalists. This is where there's going to be a problem for me with people that want to hate on someone else just because the colour of their skin. And I cannot do that. I will not do that. That is not the human being that I was brought up to be. I am a nationalist. I've also got a heart. And children to me are children. Paul says that's the reason refugee status was set up, to help people, not allow them to abuse it. Paul, agree. You know, agree. You know, you're not going to get any argument with that at all, my friend. These bastards that are coming over on these boats, and this is what a lot of the lefties don't understand. This is what, in my opinion, the Gary Linekers of this world, the Phil Nevilles of this world don't understand. Every one of these men that comes over on one of these boats with those prepaid for orange vests are potentially taking away a place for one of those 2-year-old Nigerian kids whose parents have been killed, or, you know, a young child from the African subcontinent, the Indian subcontinent, wherever, that really genuinely needs refugee status. These people are not refugees. End of story. They are not refugees. Mr. John Loon, UK is too small and has too big a population to take any refugees. I'm not going to disagree with that. There are other countries which are much bigger and have much smaller populations, like Spain. You know, Spain, half the population, twice the landmass. Let refugees go there. Oh, UK is overflowing. John, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But I go back to what I said a little bit earlier on. If we hadn't allowed in 3, 4, 5 million plus people that should not be here, then we could afford to and would have no problem in allowing genuine people from a genuine hard background that genuinely need refuge. And you know what? Those people, you know, those little Nigerian children I was talking about a minute ago, guess what? I bet they grow up to love the country, because the country gave them everything, rather than bringing in lunatics from other parts of the world where they already hate us and our culture. Damaged goods. There's no point in bringing in damaged goods to our country. Nicholas, there are about 40 million refugees, Paul, globally. So where do you draw the line or even decide who is most in need, mate? You know? Yeah, I mean, look, Nicholas, again, you know, I don't want anyone taking my comments this afternoon and running away with them. They'll probably clip them. You know, Paul wants to bring in Nigerian migrants and all, you know, we get it, right? Look, you draw the line where you need to draw the line, and this government and previous governments clearly have no line. I would personally draw the line at a very, very low and sensible level. And every single person, every single family that I gave asylum to would have a genuine case. It would be children without parents, maybe mother and child, on the odd occasion, father, mum and child, depending on their circumstances, depending on, you know, if this is a family that has been, for example, abused for being Christians and in an Islamic country, and that could be proven, then there's a case for a family that includes the men. But I would draw the line predominantly at having a penis, quite honestly. You know, if you've got one of those, I don't see why we should be giving you asylum in the UK. Asylum is for safety. And it's the women and the children predominantly that need the safety. In general, the men can look after themselves. They can travel a lot easier. They find work a lot easier. They can support themselves a lot easier. They're physically stronger. So the line for me is like when the boat's sinking, women and children first. That's where I'm at. And I'm not saying that I have, you know, the perfect policy, because I've not even really thought about it. But, you know, big up the AY show and team, absolutely. Oh, here's another one, look. Tel Aviv, Paul. Oh, mate, I've not even been to Tottenham, let alone Tel Aviv. Grow up, mate. Tel Aviv, Paul. Funny. Again, look, this is Operation Strike Back that you're looking at, right? Tel Aviv, Paul. Oh, dear. Metal Man Mercia. Richard Inman is a very good and genuine fellow. We love him here in Northern Ireland. There you go. Yeah, this is the Steve Laws approach, isn't it? We really need to take the hardest of line just to stand still and then reset, but no one gets it. Stuzo, I get that philosophy. I understand that philosophy. And if you was telling off your kids, right, you might have a point. If your teenage daughter is misbehaving, you might tell her that you're going to rip up all her clothes and throw away her iPad and ground her for 6 months, if that works, right? But unfortunately in politics, if you go down the hardest route, that's a different thing in politics. The mainstream media are going to pick up on, I mean, Stuzzo, let's be honest, my friend. Let's be honest, right? We're having a chat here, brother, right? Can you even imagine if someone like Steve Laws went on to any of the mainstream media news channels, not that they never have him, but if they did, can you imagine what they would do to him with his hardest line, just to stand still stance? Can you imagine? And you can say as many times as you like that we don't get it. We do get it, mate. I get it. It's you that's not getting it. That's not the way we win. Unfortunately or fortunately, it's not the way we win. And, you know, the biggest proof of that, John, was it John? Sorry. The biggest proof of that is Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage has taken a centre-right stance inviting people in from all different creeds, colours, backgrounds, religions. Do you like it? No. Do I like it? No. But he is going to probably win the next general election. Is that not proof enough for you, my friend? Let's see Mr. Laws stand for Parliament and see how many votes he gets. Let alone how many MPs he gets. Let's see how many votes he gets after the media have shredded him to pieces, not once, but 100 times. Again, it's not a criticism. People take this as me being critical of people. It's not. It's factual. That's where we're at, mate. That is where we are at. So we do understand. Tom, no, mate, I'm not going to have that, Tom. Nope. Nope. Yeah, he's got a syrup on, hasn't he? I'd love to. Can you imagine without? Can you imagine without? That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Because he's got quite a good old Barnet going on there, hasn't he? He does have a fair old Barnet going on there, I must admit. Quite good. Oh, look, this is my favourite one of all. Look, I'm gonna highlight it, guys, because this is my favourite one of all, right? Shall I or shall I just ignore it? No, I'm going to ignore it. Sod it. No, I'm not going to ignore it. VPN Reviews UK. You nearly got me, mate, but you didn't quite manage it. You're gonna have to be a bit more stupid. Never mind. Never mind. Stuzo says you're a decent guy, but far too sentimental and soft like most in the UK. Maybe that's true. Remember the saying, nice guys comes last. Yeah, look, listen, you know what? I'm not going to argue with that. Maybe I am too sentimental. Maybe I am too soft. I am from good stock. I am from a family that would always help people. I consider myself to be, at the very least, a cultural Christian, probably more of a Christian than I ever realised. And isn't Christianity what the United Kingdom was based and is formed on? And isn't that what's made us what we are? Yes, there's a potential that I'm far too soft and sentimental. If that's the case, it is what it is. I'm not going to disagree. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Yeah, Scotty of John, I can answer that for you. He has nothing on me whatsoever, nothing with a capital N. He's associating me with a crime that took place that has and had nothing to do with me. And if he can prove otherwise, I would suggest that he goes to the police, reports it, makes a complaint, and, well, you know, does what he needs to do. Either that, or he could be really brave and accuse me in public using his real name, and I can sue his sorry ass, and we can take it from there. But we'll leave it at that, Scotty. Just another idiot. Paul, I can't understand why people watch your streams if they are not on our side. They should go and watch left-wing streams. Keep up the good work, Paul. Thanks, David. David, do you know what, mate? At the moment, it is not the left that is attacking us, right? It really isn't. Trust me, it's not the left that is attacking us. It's a bit of everyone. You know, there's a little gaggle of people that have got together, call themselves Operation Fight Back, Strike Down, or whatever they call themselves. you know, at the end of the day, like I said, I've no idea what they have on anyone else, but they best keep my name out of their mouths because I've done nothing, and that's a guarantee. Yeah, Jenny has it absolutely spot on. I'm pissed off to the teeth with stupid people making problems with the lies and bull crap. You are helping to destroy your country, you arseholes. Yeah, agree with that. 100% agree with that. Judy says, Richard is brilliant, so passionate. Wish we had more like him. Let me read this one out. Colby Nursery Rhymes. Tommy spends donations on designer clothes. He don't have a job and he's bankrupt. So how is he affording Stone Island, Burberry, CP Company, etc.? Please explain, Paul. Well, firstly, it's not my job to explain anything. You know, I don't own Tommy. I'm not his dad. I'm not his accountant. Why would you expect me to explain what another grown man wears? That's a bit weird, in my humble opinion. And if you think about it, it's not a very sensible question to ask me, is it? You might as well go and ask the geezer next door because he wouldn't have any clue either. But I'll do my best to address your question. Let's take it bit by bit. Tommy spends donations on designer clothes. I don't know what he does with those donations because I've never seen him, never had anything to do with his organisation when it comes to donations or funds. So I wouldn't have a goddamn clue where he gets his money from when it comes to the clothes that he wears. Tom is a young man that dresses nicely. I like to dress nicely. A lot of people like to dress nicely. You say he doesn't have a job. He does have a job, mate. He does. He has the only job in the world now that he could possibly do. No one's going to employ him, Colby, are they? No one's going to say, oh, Tommy, come and work for B&Q. Come and, get real, mate, right? And, yeah, it's a job. It's a job that's seen him go to prison on multiple occasions. And he's bankrupt, you're right. So how is he affording Stone Island, Burberry, etc., etc.? I don't know, mate. You'd have to ask him. So I hope that, answers your question as honestly as I can. I don't know what you're wearing right now, and I don't know how you afforded to pay for it. Just the same as I don't know what Tommy's wearing or how he can afford to pay for it. So I'm afraid you asked the wrong person, the wrong question. Tom is back again. I'm enjoying this one with you, Tom, this afternoon. Quite good. I mean, sometimes you go off the rails, but in general, you're pretty good. Tom, do you suppose mass remigration, Paul? I think you meant support. Do you support mass remigration, Paul? Well, Tom, you haven't been watching my channel very long, it seems, because if you had, you'd have heard me say on 100 occasions that, yes, absolutely, I support mass remigration, deportations, absolutely. If so, then welcome. You're an ethno-nationalist. No, I'm not. Anything else is just supporting the globalist agenda. When I say no, I'm not an ethno-nationalist, I don't want to fall into that trap either, because it depends, as I said last night, what is any one particular individual's idea of an ethno-nationalist. If you watch the channel that I'm going to be on later on, Tom, what you'll find is that you wouldn't be described as an ethno-nationalist by some of these people on this channel. You wouldn't fit. Your criteria wouldn't be strong enough. So you're wrong, Tom. And not only are you wrong, my friend, you're absolutely miles off. You're miles off base with that comment. It's not even close to being accurate, because there are 1,000 people watching this right now. I would say that out of that 1,000 people, there wouldn't be more than one, possibly two people that would not support mass remigration. And if you ask them how many of them would class themselves as ethno-nationalists, you probably only find less than maybe 10%. So you're miles out, Tom. You're miles out. Bad Wolf says, if those boats were full of women and children, people wouldn't be so upset. Absolutely. Our men are branded as conscientious objectors if they wouldn't fight. They were detested people. Yeah. Karen says, we need kindness in the world, and Paul is one of those. Thank you, Karen. I like to think that I am an individual with a heart, especially when it comes to the kids. Silent Matthew says, it's been difficult conditions for Paul to move towards restore. Give him a break. Yeah, wouldn't go amiss, actually, to be fair. Thanks for that, mate. Tommy Early, thank you so much for that as well. I appreciate it. I often read the more positive comments, but I don't tend to put them up on screen as much because, you know, I'm always happy to talk to those that are trying to or have an opposing view. It makes for a more interesting show. Nobody wants to listen to an hour of me singing my own praises, you know what I mean? So here we go again. So this is from this Operation Takedown or whatever they're called. Tommy has done all the criminality. You're just connected, brother. Ton of proof out now. Connected in what way? I've been to a few demonstrations, spoke to him on a few occasions, had him on my channel, and that's about it. So, you know, if you say the proof is out now about criminality, again, be very careful what you say. You best stick to that dodgy username that you got there, because if you put my name to a crime and your genuine identity, you will be getting sued. That is an absolute promise and a guarantee. You know, as I've said a million times before, talk is cheap. If you can prove that I've been involved in some kind of criminality, look how relaxed I am about it. Be my guest, pal. Be my guest. Be my guest. Now, you've had your say. I'm not going to ban you, but you're bullshitting. I think I read that one, didn't I? Yeah. This thing, by the way, just so that people don't get too excited. This nonsense about criminal activities and myself, I can put that to bed in 30 seconds. I can put that to bed and prove that beyond any shadow of a doubt in moments. Over in my drawer, in my desk over there, I actually can't get it now without leaving the studio for a minute, but if I wanted to get it, I could. Over there are my certificates from the police back home in the UK, confirming to the Spanish authorities I have a completely and utterly clean criminal record. I've never been suspected or charged with any crime. It's very simple. It's called something or other, DMB check or whatever, and a proper criminal background check. So, mate, don't bother someone else, because I can prove that. I can put that up on screen. The levels of intelligence of these people is lower than a bloody snake's belly when they keep coming up with this bollocks. Yeah, exactly, Kimberly. People worrying about Richard when the enemy is at the door. Unbelievable. Yes, Kimberly, precisely my point. And you have to wonder, and you have to ask yourself what these people's end games are. What is their end game? What are they trying to achieve? What do they hope to do? Shanti says remigrate the lot. Remigrate the lot. If you're talking about illegal, Shanti, I agree with you. I tell you, I want to remigrate and quick. Said it before. All the illegals, gone. No appeals, no second questions or chances, out. All the foreign criminals currently and previously who have been sent to jail, out, gone, go. And that's just the start. All of the anti-West, anti-British hate marches, all the sectarian haters, all the people that are causing problems in our street that are non-British born, out, gone, go. That would release us of about, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 million people from our country. And the demographics would look a lot better and look a lot different. And I'd go on from there, depending on, you know, what could and couldn't be done legally. But Shanti, if you're saying, when you say remigrate the lot, do you mean the nurse that took care of you while she was in hospital? Do you mean the dentist that pulled that tooth out for you when you was in agony? Because, you know, we don't know how we're going to replace these people. You can't just put a note in a job centre, heart surgeon wanted. You know, we can't just say on Monday, well, by the way, guys, there's no trains. You can't get to work because we've got no train drivers. We've got no guards, no train drivers. And, yeah, when you get into London, there's, you know, after food places are closed. I'm not saying that you're saying that, but if you're saying, if that is your idea of remigrate the lot, it wouldn't work, would it, mate? Sorry, just dropped my pen. It wouldn't work in all sensibleness, in all seriousness. I would hope that you're a bit more sensible like myself and just say, you know, well, let's start with the right or the wrong ones. Let's start with the wrong ones and let's get rid of them. Blimey, this has gone on for a show that wasn't allegedly going to last very long. 1 hour, 47 minutes. You've been a good crowd this afternoon, giving us something to talk about. Shanti says, reform our bullshit like Labour. Agree. Yeah, agree, Kimberly. I'd rather have Richard on my side than a left-leaning hugger. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a fair comment. If anyone has any questions about Richard, please direct them to Richard, not Paul. Yeah, Scotty, John. Richard's dedicated 20 plus years of his life to this movement. What have you done besides sitting and your keyboard? Fair point. I've got to read out you know, if I'm going to be fair, I've got to read comments from both sides. Nicholas, attacking thoughtful patriots like Cole Benjamin and Connor, like Richard does, is not the way, though. Look, it's not my way, potentially. I mean, if someone says something that is wrong, I don't see any problem with highlighting out. I thought for someone of Cole Benjamin's standing, the tweet that he put up with the picture of the colour chart, I thought that was beneath him. I certainly don't think it did him any favours, particularly if he has any political ambitions. That's going to be dragged out, isn't it? That's going to be dragged up in the future and used against him big time. I mean, big time. You think about that, holding up a colour chart as to who is and who isn't allowed in the country. Now, some people might find that great. Some people might find it funny. Well, Carl won't find it very funny if he ever stands to be a member of parliament. It's probably going to ruin his chances of even being given that chance. So you might be better to ask Carl if he regretted posting that comment. And the fact that I believe he deleted it probably tells you that what I'm trying to say to you, my friend, is actually right. Connor, I've spoken to Connor on a couple of occasions since that event. I hope that me and Connor are okay. I respect Connor. Why wouldn't I respect him? He's a man, he's a patriot. Do I agree with everything that he says? No, but it shouldn't be a problem, and it isn't a problem for me. I've got no beef with Connor Tomlinson whatsoever. Yeah, so, you know, it is what it is, Nicholas. We are allowed to talk amongst ourselves. If we're friends and we're really genuine friends, sometimes you have to say things to each other that are not necessarily going to sound ideal. Unfortunately, Richard's job is to do it publicly, because if we, you know, this is another thing this week. A lot of people have been saying, you know, oh, people doing stuff on YouTube and they earn a living off YouTube and this, that, and the other. Well, the other option is we all close our channels down and you don't get any of it. You know, Mayatuzi, closed down. Paul, me, closed down. Jeff Taylor, closed down. Richard, gone. Cole Benjamin, gone. Connor, gone. Would that please you? Would that be a better alternative for some of those people out there who moan about what people have to say on YouTube, or if they earn their living on YouTube? Would you prefer that we all went? Is that a better alternative? Bad Wolf, when you were describing Richard's passion, you could have been describing Dino. He is displaying the passion and the rage that so many are feeling. Mate, I'm not going to argue with that. I agree with you. And I don't want to attack Dino, but there are things that he has said that simply are not true and simply are not fair. And the other thing is this, the more important thing is this. I feel that we have a duty, whilst telling our audience the truth, we have to keep their feet on the ground. I mean, I've seen Dino's latest video today. I haven't watched it. By the way, I haven't even watched the video he made about me, and I honestly mean that from the bottom of my heart. I have not even bothered to watch it. But let me see, because I haven't watched this either. Let me check out his video. Okay, so his video today, which has had 18,000 views so far. Great views, particularly if you're living in Thailand, because you can live for nothing out there. So there's good money involved here, right? The headline is, "This is why Restore Britain will win." And it's with a picture of Rupert Lowe holding up a fake message that says, "We do not give a shit." And he says it's simple. Brilliant. Amazing video, right? That's going to get great views. Everyone's going to be going, yeah, great message, plenty of backpacking, etc. Let's watch the video. I haven't seen it. Go and watch it. Give him some more views. And see if you think that what he's saying and the message that he is portraying is right and accurate. I haven't seen it. It may well be. So I can't comment on the contents. But it is our job to be realistic and to tell you the truth. It's all very well for me to sit here and say, Rupert Lowe's the best thing since sliced bread. We're going to win the next general election. There's no doubt about it. Get out on the streets, say and do whatever you like, because Rupert's going to save your arse, right? Never mind the fact that any one man only needs about 400 MPs at least to win a great general election. Never mind about all those realistic questions. Let's just stick to the almost, what's the right word? Euphoric message that frankly is whilst it's a lovely message of hope, there is a lack of reality to it in some instances. And I think that's where we've kind of fell out a little bit. You know, I know you all want positivity, and I know that positivity is a great thing. But we'll see. We'll see. What's this? Paul, did you hear that 1488 is going to take over you, Sivs? I don't even know what 1488 is, mate. Don't even know what it is. Sounds rather intimidating, though. It's going to take us over, is it? What's it going to do? Are they going to kill us all? Don't know what that means. This is the sort of thing that we're dealing with, right? Yeah, Colin, negative politics using dirty politics. We want positive politics. Yeah, positive politics we do, but we also need realism. Belfield has been done, Yemi TV. Is that, which Belfield is that? Is that horrible bastard Levi Belfield? Starmer is the wig. We might have to re-nickname him, mightn't we? The syrup. Let's call him, should we call him the syrup? Do you remember that Minder, episode Minder, the syrup? If you haven't seen it, you got to see the episode Minder with the syrup in it. Amazing. That's Starmer. Yeah, I agree, Nicholas. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we are good people. We like things to be fair, isn't that the British way? It always has been. What the hell is a DivNat, Katie? Honestly, you don't want to know. You really don't want to know. Basically, a DivNat is someone that doesn't want the country to break out into civil war because we're trying to get rid of everyone and blah, blah, blah. And you've got to be this and you've got to be that. And, you know, if you don't appreciate this, that, and the other, and, well, you know, look, everyone's entitled to have their opinion, right? The trouble is, Ocean Pier. Yes, yeah, I would agree. I would consider being called a DivNat a compliment. Racist, and you're talking about genuine racist, because we don't like using that term. We know how overused it's used. Are not critical thinkers, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Julie. Appreciate that. I can't give you the precise definition, Karen, but what I can tell you is that these people will probably class just about 99% of people that are in this chat today as DivNats. The idea that anyone else can come to our country that isn't pure British DNA, English DNA, white, etc., etc., they would almost certainly class you as a DivNat. Yeah, Val, exactly. I'm not a pessimist or an optimist. I'm a realist. Good call. Oh, he's back again under another name, Pawn Prizes. Richard just needs to learn how to accept 1488. Mate, you might, let me just Google that. What is 1488? Let's have a look. What is 1488? Okay, so this is AI's overview. So let me read this out. This is what we are dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm not saying that this AI overview of what this means is correct, okay, because we've all seen what AI says about people like Tommy Robinson, but let me read it out to you. 1488 is a white supremacist and neo-Nazi alphanumeric code. It combines the 14-word slogan, "We must secure the existence of our people and the future for white children," with 88, which stands for Heil Hitler, H being the 8th letter. It acts as a rallying cry and a symbol of hate. That's what AI overview says that 1488 is, and we're being told that we must accept it. Sorry, mate. My family fought the Nazis, and we don't intend to suddenly start trying to get in bed with them. So you're on the wrong channel, my friend. You're entitled to your opinion. But with that, I'm afraid you are going. Go and haunt someone else. There you go. There you go. Operation Takedown. Paul, who's winning the FA Cup? I'm going for Chelsea. I tell you what, Claire, I'll go for anyone but Chelsea. How about that? Being a Fulham supporter. Sorry if you're a Chelsea fan. Emily, I think we were right not to get into that war. I mean, look, Emily, there's all different ways of looking at it. As I said the other night during the live, we have quite clearly been involved in wars that we shouldn't have been involved in. And it's cost us dearly. Not only has it cost us the lives of some of our troops, our boys and girls, not only has it cost us multiple billions of pounds, it's also cost us, or is partly to blame for the mass migration that we see right now in our country. Having said that, this particular conflict I feel is different because Iran, without a question of doubt, I don't think it can really be disputed that Iran have been behind many of the attacks, the terrorist attacks that have taken place across the West, including the UK, over the last 40, 50 years. And the problem is, Emily, is that when you're dealing with people that love death more than they love life, what do you do with those people? How do you negotiate with those people if and when they was to get their hands on nuclear weapons? That's, that's my take on it. So should we be involved in this war? I don't know. I'm not an expert, right? And I think by publicly stating you're one way or the other, or that you are an expert when you're not, is a silly thing to do. But in my humble opinion, from what I can see of it, the mad mullahs of Iran need to be gone, and the people of Iran, the Persians, need to have their homeland back, and they need to, just like us, they need their homeland back from those that want to destroy it. That's my belief. But in general, I'm against being involved in foreign wars. Stuzo, here's a good one. This is interesting. Answer this question. Would you rather have Steve Laws or Keir Starmer running the country? No shirking, no humming or whoring, and no diversion, a straight yes or no. I can't give you that answer without giving you a reason. I think they're both as bad as one another for the same reason. And that is because I think that both people would lead to civil war. It's just that Steve Laws as PM would probably lead to civil war a lot faster than Keir Starmer. So I don't think either of them would make suitable prime ministers. One is too tough. I like the toughness, don't get me wrong. but it would lead to mass civil disturbance. I don't know how old you are, Stuzo. I mean, you could be my age, you could be a young man, a middle-aged, I don't know. But if you've got a son or a daughter, that son or daughter might well be involved. You might well be involved in that civil war. Is that what you want? That's why I want Keir Starmer gone, because I can see something horrible happening down the line. It's not about their politics, it's about the end result. What we don't want, Stuzo, is bloodshed, ours or anyone else's. And I think that leadership from either of these particular individuals would lead and will lead, in Starmer's case, to mass civil unrest, which we need to try and avoid. So I can't really answer your question because it isn't as simple as a yes or no answer. And I never like to avoid a question, but you can't put that on me like that without me explaining it. First 6 days of the US-Iran war cost 27 billion. Is that what they're saying? Wow. Yeah, Juliet, some people are saying this, but, you know, again, American politics, I'm a bit meh about it because, you know, we've got enough on our own plate. Emily saying, I've got to agree with Keir on that decision. Well, Emily, who knows? You may be right, right? I don't know. I don't know the answer, Emily. I'm not saying that I do, but what I do know is, Emily, is if Iran was to get their hands on a nuclear missile, you might think differently. And if they don't get hold of a nuclear missile, it ain't Keir Starmer that you're going to be able to thank, because he ain't doing anything about it. So that's the position that we're in, right? Please God, they never get their hands on nuclear missiles, because if they do, mark my words, we're on the top of their list. Looks like I'm well behind with the chat here. Gary, Paul, are you experiencing the far left regime of the Spanish government where you are? Can't honestly say that. I can't say that I can, Gary, but the thing is, mate, is that I've not been here long enough. I've not been here. You know, what I will say is in Spain, what I've noticed is the red tape, whether it be business, whether it be buying a house, whether it be buying a car, the red tape is mind-boggling. I mean, literally, you know, Danny warned me before I came here. You know, he said, oh, the red tape's a bit of a nose, right? Well, that's an understatement. I mean, you know, we was talking to some lads earlier on that are in business, and they said, you know, if you need a shit in this country, you got to go and see your autonomo, your solicitor. You know, it is really, really very much tied up in legalities and red tape. So look, I don't think that will particularly change under any government, to be fair. So the answer is I haven't experienced it. I think, you know, probably, if I can say so, they're probably a little bit behind the UK when it comes to structure, getting things done. I mean, I think it's bad enough at home with red tape, but out here it is seemingly even worse. Paul, why are you focusing on the trolls? Have you wrapped around their little finger? Actually, mate, it's the other way around. They just don't know it. Your mods aren't strict enough. My mods are grown-ups. They have permission to ban people as they see fit. Unfortunately, last night, one slipped through the net. So what? I've done 1,000 live streams. We get one message that slips through the net. Maybe you could do a better job for me. Maybe you want to volunteer to be a mod and, you know, make sure you're available whenever I do a live stream. Someone's always got the answer, haven't they, but never the solution. Yeah, Richard's good. Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah, I'm not. You know, I think they're all aware of that. I mean, it slipped through. You know, this stuff happens. If you've got one mob working and they go off and, you know, make a cup of tea or have a jimmy, you know, they're not getting paid to do what they do. They're volunteers. So, you know, it got missed. Big deal. What do we want to do? Shoot them? I don't know. Yeah, I can't believe that. Can you? Unbelievable. Is that true? Trump has just said we have a toy navy. Yeah, see, this would be more my belief. I think not helping the US-Israel war against the horrible Iranian Islamic regime is a mistake. Yeah, I mean, the Iranians today are talking about striking the UAE countries, aren't they? I'm just reading through the comments. Apparently, Danny Tomo has evidence of migrants in a boat waving the Palestine flag. I would imagine they probably are. Is that a serious question for me? Really, is that a serious question? Do you honestly even think for one moment, even for a millisecond, has it gone through your mind that I might have thought or believed that Axel Rudabakana is just as British as me? I'm not sure if that's what you mean, mate. If it is, it's a kind of crazy question. Axel Rudabakana, let's look at it factually. Axel Rudabakana had a British passport, which technically and legally makes him a British citizen, right? The wider question is, should he have ever been a British citizen? And the answer to that is no. He should never have been a British citizen, or he shouldn't have been here in the goddamn first place. So we're probably not too far out on our opinions of Axel Rudabakana. I know where I'd like to see him. Yeah, Linda, we still have to be good human beings, have compassion, but not be made fools of. Absolutely. Yeah, 1,000 have invaded in the last couple of days. Yeah. And we're focusing on each other again. It's got to end, doesn't it? Yeah, sorry, Gary Neville, not Phil Neville. Yeah. Tom, Paul, you're straw manning us here. Where have we ever said we hate people of colour? Tom, you know, no disrespect, my friend, right? But I have to wonder sometimes what you people see and what you don't see, or whether you see only what you choose to see. So first of all, Tom, I've got a question for you. You've mentioned we twice. Well, who's we? Who's we, Tom? You should mean you, because you don't speak for anyone else, my friend. You know, there's a lot of people around you that would say, don't speak for me. But let's put that to one side. Where have we ever said we hate people of colour? Have you not seen some of the messages that have appeared in the streams over the last few weeks? Have you not seen what was sent to Ben Habib? Have you not seen, or did you not hear about the email that I received the other day from someone with the vile abuse aimed at towards Based and Bougie. Have you not seen or heard about any of this? So when you say we, what do you mean we? Because those people are associating themselves with you. It's not me that's associating you with those people. Those people are associating themselves with you, my friend. That's the bit you're not getting. So if you haven't seen some of the horrible stuff that's been going around that would make anyone totally and utterly unelectable, then I suggest you either watch a little bit more YouTube or get yourself over on X and have a little look around, my friend. So I'm not strawmanning anyone, Tom. Again, I am talking about realities. My job, or part of my job, is to see some of the stuff that comes through. Fortunately for you, perhaps you don't see it, but I do. And I read the emails that are sent my way. Yeah, Spudso, I hope that's been explained. Gareth, Baraka came over as a baby from a war-torn country. He's turned into a belter and a proud Brit. Roger says, what a poisonous fake grifter you are. Roger, come on, mate. Come on the show and tell me why I'm a poisonous fake grifter. Actually, Roger, you know what? You're just an absolute dull-ass, boring fool, right? I'll try and be half polite. Aren't you lot going to get bored with this stuff? Sky of John, thank you. It's the biggest grift. Look, that's a whole £2 I've earned this afternoon. So where are we? That's about £1 an hour, less tax. Scotty of John, real far right, using my store as a rally point. Mate, you have hit it on the head. Marie, I see all of it, Paul, but if we don't unite, we will not be able to vote our way out of this mess. Marie, agree? Yeah, this is another possibility. Racist trolls will likely be under disguise just to upset voters to divide them. That is another possibility. Cheers, mate. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, look, the only issue with that is that some of the people that are making some of these noises are very well known and long-term political activists, so we know they're not lefties. We know they are not lefties. Right, I think we better call it a day because we're 2 hours, 18 minutes. Dean, I admire your luxury life, Paul. Yeah, Dean, look, listen, it's not as luxury as a lot of people might believe. People have this overinflated opinion of what I have or what I might have. You know, I'm never been someone to flex or to even try and go down that route. You never see me driving flash cars or even these days wearing flash watches. I don't even wear a watch, you know. My life's comfortable, you know, I'm not going to deny that. But at the same time, it's comfortable for a very good reason. 40 odd years of hard graft. And that's it. That is it. Let's have a little look. We've got a little flurry of supers. Diane, thank you. We all need to get back on track, be compassionate about our Christianity and unite the right. Our lesson is from Jesus. Let's listen for once. Thank you very much for that. I made the mistake of putting it up before reading it. Luckily, it was a good one. The Wizard's Words, great channel. If you haven't already subscribed to The Wizard's Words, please do so. Keep the grift going. Mossad said, send this to you. Thank you very much, mate. I love someone with a sense of humour. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Good stream. Yeah, I think it was. And FP, Go grab a pint. You need one after today, brother. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really do. Don't forget, if you want to catch up on what could be potentially, I'm not going to say an explosive, but what could potentially be a very interesting and maybe even uncomfortable time for me this evening. I am on a channel that wants to, I'm not sure what they want to do with me, to be fair, but the link is in the comments below. If you want to catch up and see what happens, see what takes place, I will be there, all being well and God willing, at 9 p.m. UK time. For now, thank you everyone for watching. It's been a good afternoon, I think it's been a good live stream. I'll see you later.